Hey, how's it going everyone? Richard here. Today we are going to be going over the basics of Phasmophobia and make sure you have a solid understanding of how the game actually works. Phasmophobia is a ghost hunting co-op game where you and a group of fellow hunters are sent in to gather evidence of paranormal activity and determine what type of ghost is haunting the location. To collect evidence, you will use a variety of tools ranging from a simple notebook all the way up to UV lights and thermometers. Based on what evidence you will find will help you determine what sort of ghost you are dealing with. A lot of useful information can be found in your journal. This is where you can input evidence, rule out ghost types, and read about some typical behaviors of each ghost. The last page is where you will lock in what type of ghost you suspect is on location. As you input evidence, it will automatically eliminate invalid ghost options. Ghosts have 3 specific traits that will determine what type of evidence they leave behind. For example, demons will communicate via spirit box, write in the writing book, and reduce the favorite room temperature to below freezing. Getting the ghost to interact will require you to set up ideal conditions for the ghost, but first you should locate its home or favorite room. One room is designated as its favorite and can usually be found by slightly reduced temperatures. This is why the thermometer is one of the best pieces of equipment to have, at least initially. Once you find the room, it's time to start collecting evidence. If it is still during the setup phase, the ghost will be very timid. The setup phase is determined by difficulty level. Amateur grants 5 minutes, intermediate grants 2 minutes, and professional grants no prep time. Once prep time is over, the ghost will become much more active, and your sanity becomes much more vulnerable to paranormal activities. Some ghosts, like demons and wraiths, can be very aggressive, so don't waste time. There are a handful of basic evidence collecting devices. These include the EMF detector, UV light, thermometer, ghost writing book, video camera, and spirit box. The EMF detector detects areas where a ghost has interacted. The level on the meter will indicate what sort of interaction took place. 1 is the baseline reading, 2 means the ghost interacted with something near you, 3 means an object was recently thrown near you, and 4 means the ghost recently appeared there and can signal the start of a hunt. EMF 5 will only register with ghosts that have that as a trait. There is a 25% chance that a typical EMF 2 reading will appear as 5 instead. This allows you to collect this as evidence. Besides being useful for determining ghost traits, it can also be useful in conjunction with our next piece of equipment, the UV light. The UV light lets you detect hand and fingerprints on door surfaces, light switches, and window panes. They may also show up on phones, but no one I play with has been able to verify this. It can also detect a ghost walking through salt piles on the ground, assuming your target isn't a wraith. This can't be used as fingerprint evidence, but can be used to get a fix on the ghost position. Next is my favorite gadget, the non-contact thermometer. This tool is great for locating the ghost's favorite room and is quite effective at doing so. From what I can tell, it can read temperatures through doors and has a range of 6 meters. All ghost rooms will eventually reduce temperatures to 5 degrees Celsius or 41 degrees Fahrenheit. However, ghosts with the freezing temperature trait will reduce these down to 3 Celsius or 37.4 Fahrenheit, all the way down to -10 Celsius and 14 degrees Fahrenheit. This paired with the parabolic mic can be used to find rooms very accurately. The ghost writing book is one of the easiest pieces of evidence to collect, assuming your ghost has the trait. Simply drop the book at ground level in the ghost's favorite room and wait for it to leave you a message. There is some speculation that the book doesn't have to be in the favorite room, but to play it safe, I'd probably put it in there. The contents of what it writes is irrelevant as evidence, and you should only really need to bring one of them, as you should just place it in the favorite room once you find it. Video cameras are the only way of positively identifying ghost orbs in the favorite room. These can be deployed on a tripod to give better angles and make them easier to set up. They will also have to be turned on by clicking on the back of the frame near the light and will display a video feed back in the truck. From here, you can see if the ghost has the ghost orb trait. It's best to set up several around the room. Typically, I like to have 2 in the room itself, covering opposite angles, and 1 outside the room facing into the doorway of the favorite room. Make sure the lights are off so you can see the orbs. Be careful though, if the ghost powers off the circuit breaker, they may also disable cameras. You can also see any ghost activity in the camera feed. Our final piece of evidence equipment is the spirit box. This is a way of communicating with ghosts using local push-to-talk. For this to work, the lights must be off in the room. Also, make sure you note if the ghost prefers to be alone or will respond to everyone. If not, the ghost will likely not respond to the voice box.
let's just, oh, there we go. Voice back activity. How's it going, man?
Did you just say hey?
Are you, yeah, are you friendly?
What did you say, cash?
Yeah. I would take that as friend. Yeah.
There is a list of questions you can ask it, which will be linked in the pinned comment. Phrases such as what do you want, where are you, and how old are you are always a safe bet. The ghosts aren't always truthful, however, so keep that in mind. Also remember that they can only respond every 10 seconds, so make sure to be patient with it unless you want to make it mad. Alright, let's see if the crucifix stopped them. Saying the ghost's name prior to a question has been shown to increase the odds of it answering, so make sure to note that as well. You only need to know the first name of the ghost. There is other equipment that can detect a ghost's presence, but isn't necessarily needed to gather evidence primarily. This includes the sound, motion, and IR sensors, parabolic mics, salt, and photography cameras. For the sake of simplicity for this video, the sound, motion, and IR sensors will all be grouped together since they function in a similar vein. Although the motion sensor is much more likely to be seen since detecting a ghost with one is a common optional objective. All of these have their specific niche use cases, however these will become much more useful later in the game, especially on larger maps. The photo camera is a critical part of your mission, despite it not gathering evidence for determining your ghost type. Certain items and objects can be photographed to earn additional cash and to complete objectives. Things worth photographing include the ghost itself, fingerprints, footprints, bones, bloody murder weapons, voodoo dolls, dead players, lit Ouija boards, and sinks with dirty water. As a note, dirty water can only be generated when a ghost interacts with a sink. Typically, you'll want at least 2 cameras per mission, and more if the mission is anything bigger than a small map or if you're playing on Farmhouse. There are a couple items out there that are useful for not getting yourself and your team killed. These include salt, the Crucifix, and Smudge sticks. Salt is really only useful if you have a wraith as your ghost and can deter it from hunting you and your team. Smudge sticks will prevent ghosts from going into hunt mode when used within 6 meters of it, and will also temporarily disable any active hunts for about 5 seconds. Finally, they will also prevent Urays from wandering around for a minute and a half. These must be lit by a lighter and are a common optional objective, so it's always worth to bring at least a couple, especially considering their low cost. Crucifixes are a bit more of an enigma at this point, and it seems every person I encounter has a different theory on how to use them. From what I can positively determine, if they are already deployed, they will stop a ghost when it enters its hunt phase if it's within 3 meters of the crucifix. They will eventually stop working, so don't think that they will always save you. I have been straight up murdered while standing right on top of a cross. There are other pieces of kit that we are kind of skipping over, but this is what you need to know for the time being. Other than that, always bring 1 strong flashlight per teammate, your eyes will thank you. Moving on, let's talk about sanity. Your sanity is a measurement of how well you're doing mentally in the game, and it will decrease the longer you're in a mission and the more you encounter the paranormal. The lower your sanity, the more likely the ghost is to hunt you down and kill you. You can monitor your sanity level inside the truck on the LCD display. Your sanity can go up by using sanity pills, which I would highly recommend on higher difficulty missions. Using the Ouija board with a ghost other than the demon can also make your sanity go down as well. In general, be careful using the Ouija boards as they can instantly end the prep phase. While not a big deal on a professional or intermediate game, it can put a lot of pressure on an unprepared team. So what happens if you manage to piss the ghost off? How do you know if he's on the hunt? Well, if your flashlight starts to flicker, the ghost is in hunt mode. When this happens, it typically is best to look for a closet or small room and shut the door. Do not hide in the favorite room unless you want to die. Do not speak, as the ghost will hear you even without activating your mic. Especially do not say run, hide, or scared, as rumor has it this will make the ghost much more aggressive. Once your light stops flickering, the hunt is over and you can step back out and carry on. Be advised that your radio will not work inside the building during a hunt. You can outrun most ghosts if you sprint, and as long as they're not a revenant or a djinn. In those cases, try to break line of sight with a ghost and hide as best you can. Do a radio check to see if anyone was killed, and if so, take a photograph of their body for insurance purposes. This might be a good time to also check for UV and EMF evidence as well. Sometimes there is very little you can do during a hunt except die. Some ghosts are very quick and aggressive, so plan your escape ahead of time. Overall, that covers a lot of the basic information that you'll need to know to get your feet wet in Phasmophobia. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. There are a lot of little things to this game, so I'm pretty sure I've missed a few at least. Next time I will be making a video going over all the types of ghosts in Phasmophobia, but until then, happy hunting!